Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now last summer we got to do a really fun competition on TV, and part of our cakes had to include dynamic elements and special effects. And once we figured out how to do that, it was on. We love adding special effects to our cakes now. So I've called in the hubs to help me out today, and we are gonna cake up a mermaid tail, and her fins are really gonna move. So come hang out in the kitchen with us, and we're gonna help you cake it till you make it. I'm Becky, cake artist, wife, and mom to 3 kiddos in Kentucky. When I started making cakes, I had no idea that a fun hobby would turn into a passion and a thriving business. But I couldn't do any of this without my team, my family. We don't know how to do everything, but we figure it out as we go, and we have fun doing it. So come hang out in the kitchen and let me help you cake it till you make it.
Okay, so we got a mermaid tail and we got to make it move. Great. So what are we going to do? We're going to use a servo motor first off, and these are found at any hobby store. You can find them on Amazon, other places like that. Now that's a servo motor. It actually will move, and we'll show you how that works here in a second. But the other thing you're going to have, you got to have something to actually tell that servo motor what it needs to do. You got to tell it how to move, how fast you want it to move, and how far it needs to move. For that, we have something called an Arduino. These are about 10 bucks, I think, on Amazon. And this is a circuit board, and you can actually program this thing with a computer, and that will upload the code to this servo motor to make it do what you want it to do. Now, how do I get the programming into this thing and then into this ultimately? That's where, ta-da, you have a USB cable, and this USB, it's basically a printer cable. It's a type A USB on one side, type B on the other, and what you're going to do, the type B end will actually plugs into the circuit board. Type A actually goes into the computer. When you have an Arduino, you'll actually have software on the computer that you can download with it that will allow you to program anything that an Arduino can control. And so that's how we're going to do it. So servo motor, circuit board, cable, computer, and you've got everything you need in order to make the cake move. So now what we got to do is we've got to actually take this servo motor and we got to attach it to our structure. And then from there, once it's attached to the structure, it's just simply plug and play. So this is an example of how this servo motor is going to work. You can see it's sweeping just back and forth at a very steady pace, not too fast, not too slow, and it's not moving too far. And that's, we control that with the programming of the Arduino. Oh shoot, I pulled it right off there because of... Whoa, so that was a crash course in how we use servo motors to move cakes. Pretty cool, huh? I know you're probably thinking, wow, that looks really complicated. I'm not sure if I could do it. Well, first off, we've put some links in the description box below for all the products that we use, and that'll get you started. If you're interested in actually learning how can I make a servo motor work myself, how can I use it in the cake, how would I program it, I promise you it's so easy, even a child could do it. Drop us a comment below and watch for more videos in the future.
Okay, so now that Chris has our baseboard ready for us and everything is all wired up, I'm just gonna keep taping down these wires to keep them out of the way and finish covering this entire dowel with tape, and then I'm gonna cover this board. Now, I don't want to cover the actual motor here because I don't want anything to block it from moving, but I do want to cover it just a little bit, just this base part, so I don't have anything edible really touching it. Although my cake is really only going to come up to about right here. Ta-da! Okay, now that my board is covered, it's time to start stacking up some cake. Now you could do this with like a cutter and cut out some simple pieces, but I'm just gonna cut squares of cake and stack them up and then carve it into my tail fin shape. Now, because I'm going to carve this, I'm purposefully not putting a lot of buttercream in between these layers. Okay, so now that my cake is really good and chilled and my fin is attached to the servo motor and covered, it's time to cover this baby in fondant. Okay, so now that my fin is all set and covered in fondant and I've got the top piece, the foam covered, I'm ready to add my fins. Now I made these really cool fins with wafer paper, a little bit of floral wire, and some gelatin. And I just used the gelatin sheet recipe from Sugar Geek Show, and there's a link for that recipe in the description box. It's super easy to work with, and gelatin is a really cool medium. If you let it dry, if you let it dry overnight, it's good. It's a little bit humid where I am, so mine had to dry for about a day and a half, and then it was perfect. But once you paint the gelatin over the wafer paper, it kind of curls up and makes it really organic. So I wanted to have that so that when it's moving, you kind of get that feel of movement. So it's time to get these attached and color this baby and get her all finished up. Let's go. Now that the tail and the fins are on, it's time to color this bad boy. Now I'm going to be using petal dust, and I'm going to dry dust it. Depending on how it looks, I might go back and mix some of my dust with vodka and paint it that way. But in general, especially when I'm doing something that has a lot of texture, I prefer to dry dust it, because then all of that color really sticks into all the little cracks and crevices and really makes your cake look cool. So, here we go. Now, I'm going to be using a mixture of purple, pink, and blue petal dusts. And actually, these are luster dusts, so they actually have like a pearlized sheen to them, not just a flat matte color. Ooh, she's looking so pretty. Okay, so now the only thing left is to finish the board here. Now I covered it with a base of blue fondant, and I let my petal dust fall down, and I just kind of smeared that around with my brush. And that's totally fine, you could leave it that way, but I like to be a little bit extra, so we're gonna fancy this baby up. Okay, I think she's all finished, and I love how she turned out. The waves are so cute. Time to plug her in and see if she moves. Thanks for joining us in the kitchen today. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give us a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you get a heads up every time we post a new video. Happy caking!